Hi, I'm Matt.
And I'm Keegan.
Hi, I'm Andrew.
And this is Sam.
And this is Culz Reviews. If we threw you off with that introduction, that's because it's very not normal of us to kick off the episode like that, but considering how the last Culz Reviews went, I think it's proper. But today we're kind of getting back into a series that we haven't done in a while, and definitely one that we're pretty excited about, especially with the influx of UFO subject we've been kind of looking into, and that is Project Blue Book by the History Channel. So this is Season 1, Episode 4 of Project Blue Book, which is Operation Paperclip. Alright, for those that don't know, Operation Paperclip was a program where the Americans brought over German scientists from the Nazi regime in order so that they didn't fall into the hands of the Russians at what would become the start of the Cold War. And so they brought them over, gave them new names and paperwork and everything, and a lot of them went into high-ranking research operations, including one that was Werner von Braun, who was the head of the kind of what would become NASA. You know, you may be wondering, well, what does that have to do with anything? And that's what we're going to get into, is what this episode really encompassed. And so, as usual for the UFO episodes, we're going to hand it over to Sam to kind of describe what was going on in this episode, since he is our resident ufologist. Sam?
So, in Operation Paperclip, it starts off with Dr. Hynek being in a plane and seeing a cigar-shaped craft, which is one of the known crafts that is seen by a lot of people. This one was bright green and was supposedly
Silent?
It was silent, but it was also tailing the spaceship, which happens a lot with a lot of airplane sightings.
Especially military craft. Yeah.
Military craft. I mean, military craft is always seen after a sighting. Jets will always fly over by.
But there's a lot of military airmen that have said there's been
Oh,
balls of light and
fights.
stuff following them. Not even fights, but they
True.
follow them.
Balls of lights. But
also pass them.
most of the time that's more orbs than it is cigars. Cigars are just mainly seen. Same with the egg shapes, the discs. Those are usually ones that are just spotted. Whereas more military craft has always been more bright orbs, or just possibly some of those crafts, but just the lights were too bright for them to actually see it. But this one is entailing a cigar-shaped craft that was seen by an aircraft, was seen on the ground at someone's farm and killed all of his hogs. And then later in the episode they find a precursor to crop circles or burn marks, so definitely wasn't a crop circle, which entails that it was possibly a human-made craft, maybe, or attempt at a craft.
Or people walking around with 2x4s.
No.
I've seen it. I've seen them do it. They're it takes all night.
Yeah.
But this one was definitely, it wasn't it was in what you would normally find a crop circle. It was just...
It was on just small grass.
Yeah, small grass, so
grass.
clearly it's not people going around pushing the grass down.
Yeah, using boards to push it around.
But then they obviously break into the space center on two accounts. The first one, they just rammed through the gate when they were denied access into it. And then the second time, they were arrested in there and then
Why didn't we
went
do
to
that
investigate.
At Area 51? Just ram through the gates.
They weren't near Area 51. Roswell?
No.
when
when they were doing that thing.
The raid.
Oh yeah, well...
That's
Storm
because
Area 51.
Area 51
Whatever
is
happened?
better protected than the state capitol.
Yeah.
Whatever
true.
happened to that, though? Did people just walk away from
Oh,
it or what?
Oh, no, they made a festival.
They made a festival. You were allowed to go right up to the entrance gates. They were heavily armed right at the entrance gates, but you were allowed to take pictures and stuff from there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, maybe at some point we'll have to do that.
Well, I think they turned it into more of that show for the reason of protecting what they're hiding.
No, absolutely.
Well, at this point...
Because they're let's just let them to the gate and smile, take pictures with them,
Yeah, but at this point,
But have
with
that big
Area
gun be like,
51 getting disclosed, it kind of makes me think there's probably nothing left there. Because once it's kind of like Cheyenne Mountain, so they disclosed it, and now it's not really operational. There's people still there, but the main stuff is gone.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they moved it elsewhere.
Yeah, and a lot of rumors go to Ohio, is where Area 51 or even like the Roswell material might have ended up in Ohio, which is interesting. There's some.
Could still be planted right underneath the airport too.
Sure.
A lot of myths about that place.
Yeah.
Well, from what I've dug into that, it doesn't look like it's right below the airport, but kind of offshoot of the airport. Because, I mean, the area of the airport is larger than Manhattan.
So back to the episode, they meet Von Braun, and he shows them the first attempt to launch a rocket for the space program up into the air. And then he talks to Hynek basically offering him a job. And then they he finds Captain Quinn at a bar because he's going to be let go from Project Blue Book because of breaking and entering.
And suspended from, like, his position within the military.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But, like, quickly going back to, like, the rocket thing, it did kind of feel just like, this is really interesting that they were, like, ready to go, like, almost like they knew they were coming. And then, at the same time, Hynek and Quinn weren't allowed onto the base at first. It's just like, well, why were they specifically not cleared, you know? And so, it's at the end of the episode, it kind of shows you maybe why that happened.
No, I mean, it kind of makes sense the whole time because, this is not really, like, the public doesn't really know too much about this whole space program at first. And this is Project Blue Book, and it's kind of top secret at the time because he was clearly making a video of explaining what he was trying to do with the whole space program, so.
Yeah, which is, I think that video did come out. It's pretty, at least I feel like I've seen it. I think they've
I have
actually
too.
parodied it with, well, not parodied, but like kind of modeled Tony Stark's father's video in Iron Man 2 off of the Warner Von Braun video.
Yeah. So it was,
But
it makes sense that they're not allowed on there.
It makes sense, but I feel like maybe General Harding had a little pulling of the strings going on there.
Right.
No,
because
probably,
to this point, they've been allowed on everything, anywhere that's really off guard or off limits to the public.
Well, yeah, because he's a military personnel. It makes sense, but this is more.
But they knew they were coming. That's the weird thing.
I don't think they knew they were coming. I think it's more of they showed up and then.
Well, but at least in context, because
no,
Warner
they might have
Von
known they were coming because of the car with the Men in Black, which weren't actually probably the Men in Black. They were probably working for Von Braun.
yeah.
And since they showed up at that one spot and kind of followed them, then they were probably like, "Hey, these guys are coming. Blue Book is coming your way."
Instead of like, because I know Von Braun was saying he wanted to do a second filming of his speech, so instead of doing that, they were like, "Hey, you want to take a look at this?"
No, you have
And
a call.
that was before they had gotten to the gate.
Or when they got to the gate.
No, I think then after that scene, it showed them driving up to the gate.
Which could have been a certain, like, he was doing that, and that's why the urgent call came through, because he was calling, they were calling from the gate at that point, and then it was showing why he was getting that call.
Maybe. Or it was Harding.
I don't know, maybe. Or Harding called afterwards, or he spoke to him afterwards.
He came into the episode. I
He
think.
did.
No, he came into the episode, but Von Braun, I guess, Harding called him to let them know about what they were doing, because that's why they got released out of the jail inside of that place. I don't know. There's a lot of
in this
interesting
episode,
things.
yeah.
A lot of theories.
Yeah, too many theories.
And then there's the whole like guy breaking into Hynek's house.
No,
Little subplot.
Fuller.
Yeah, and on parts it was just like.
Yeah, there was lots of jumping around.
Yeah, well, not. Yeah, but it worked within what they were telling.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, don't be scared, and we're like, well, she's gonna be scared.
Yeah, you broke into her house.
Yeah,
Hey.
you're acting kind of strange.
I'm not here to hurt you.
Did you hear them? Did you hear
Don't
them?
you hear that? You don't. It's one of them.
And then it's
It's one of them.
Yeah, the throw.
Throws it.
And you start to see that Susie could potentially be a spy from. So I mean, it's kind of obvious.
It's kind of obvious at this point.
But yeah, she's a Russian spy.
Yeah, or at least we assume she's a Russian spy.
Well,
Yeah, she is.
she is because
I mean, there could be other. I mean, yeah, she most likely is. But I'm just trying to play the advocate. There could be other governments.
well, I mean, when
But
she went
You're the
with-
advocate, but she is.
She is talking Russian. I mean, I guess that's
She
kind of
is talking Russian and took pictures
Matt,
of their
Can you hand me
office.
my drink, please?
Yeah. Yeah, go
Thank you,
ahead.
sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, she keeps like wanting to go into Hynek's house and like under the disguise of like helping Mimi, but at the same time, like now everyone like has to know that clearly she's just trying to get in so she can snoop around and see what is there. And I don't know that Hynek has too much there,
No,
so
he probably
Probably
carries it
wouldn't
all
work.
with him.
yeah, which
Well,
is
most
smart.
of it, or under lock and key.
Well, and he has his notebook, which he probably keeps a lot there.
Oh yeah.
And then there's the big reveal towards the end that almost gave Matt a heart attack because he thought it was the cliffhanger. And what was the cliffhanger almost? That wasn't?
Well, they showed a alien submerged in water, or well, the
Fluid.
fluids with tubes and everything, and then it just went dark. It's like, no, you ain't,
No.
no.
It would have been a great cliffhanger.
Yeah, that most definitely. I would have been pissed, but I would have tuned in for the next episode.
Hell yeah, we might have watched it tonight.
True.
But yeah, hey, they try to, Von Braun tries to play it off as a monkey.
It was a monkey.
Which is true, they did shoot monkeys into space, so.
Yeah,
But
it didn't look like a monkey.
it didn't look like him. It was, the dimensions.
Well,
I mean,
If
who
you
knows?
think about it, it did
Enough
have like
time.
3 rotations around the Earth
Yeah.
before it like passed and,
And
then
being
coming down.
in being in
But
near
where
to
was
zero
its tail,
gravity.
though? And tail still got.
Chimpanzees don't have toes.
Oh, it was a chimpanzee.
Yeah.
Alright. I was thinking of like a capuchin monkey or something like that.
Oh,
No, it was a chimp. A couple chimps, and then I think they set up some dinosaur bones. I don't know why, but they did. It's true.
For reasons.
For reasons.
They had their reasons.
We gotta see how
rid of
fossils
the
do in this
evidence.
space. Alright, they're the same.
No, they were just getting rid of some very.
So yeah, I definitely think even Quinn at this point is questioning how much does Harding know, and he definitely, you see him like, now let's research, but let's maybe not tell Harding everything.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end he's like, what if we just stumbled into something that even Harding knows about? Like, let's not tell him this.
Oh yeah. Well, given they were breaking into a secret space program base.
Yeah,
so
but
it is
if,
kind of it's basically a fireable and prisonable offense at that point.
yeah, but at the same time, if he is like, say it was a human that they're like testing on,
Mhm.
it would be something that you want to tell. But at the same time, you
True,
see
he
him
does,
have.
He does say that, like, but yeah.
I think at this point he's starting to see like, well, maybe we.
He's starting to question more, but
Yeah.
he's still
like,
following orders.
yeah, and he definitely
For
holds
now.
some resentment towards the Germans, as you could tell.
I mean, yeah.
During
that time, there was a
Especially-
lot of resentment.
yeah, especially with if you were in the war and had to go see that stuff, definitely would
Right.
sit with you.
Nope.
Not some stuff you would forget. I mean, pretty terrible. I mean, just unspeakable. So I mean, we'll go into Matt. Do you want to talk to the acting aspect?
It's the same as any blue book, they continue to it's good. I mean,
I'll tell you, the cinematography is getting really well. Like, the further they go on, there's just some shots you're just like, oh, this is beautifully shot and beautifully rendered. And, like, for a I mean, it's great because, like, it's kind of like the norm now to have these TV shows that are really well filmed and acted. But when we were growing up, that was definitely not the case.
No.
They were enjoyable, but the cinematography was not like this.
no, not at all.
You were lucky
For
if
times.
you were lucky if the camera moved at all during the scene, and now it's like dramatic shots. Like, you can see it slowly building up over the hill, and then there's the, dramatic reveal of the circle, or I guess the spiral more. And so I guess that's not even the big reveal. The big reveal at the end, after the alien body, is the UFO.
Yeah.
The UFO
Or flying
the,
saucer, we should call it.
the
Right.
flying
It's not
saucer.
unidentified.
No.
It is a flying object.
It's a flying object that we created to do something.
Zero gravity. And there's actual pictures of similar aircrafts that have been disclosed. And so it makes you wonder. Because it goes like, it looks like it's warping almost like like what you would expect from like a time machine where it starts like bending time.
Yeah.
And it goes interdimensional. Somewhere. Clearly they're getting rid of people, because even at the beginning he said people go missing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was saying some of the soldiers at the base were just disappearing, and they said that they were
Switched or
switched, transferred.
Transferred, yeah.
They were
to a
transferred.
different place,
they
but
definitely transferred to a different place, but not in the way that I think people were thinking.
true.
Spend it.
But
Yeah.
the reveal at the end kind of doesn't say that they were being tested for that specific, like the testing of the craft of whether they were trying to like
But they
set
did
it
find
interdimensional.
other space suits like the one.
He was using? Well,
Yeah.
yeah, but those are test space
But
suits.
he said it worked, so this was the first one that did whatever
Yeah.
they're trying to do. We're not sure yet. Maybe we'll find out. Maybe we'll get shut down before we can tell you that, but
True.
I mean, it's
They
this.
tested something, and Braun said that it worked.
Yeah.
And Harding was there.
Yeah, he walked up right before they wheeled it out.
Well, they.
How
I
are you
think
going to cover
they
our
were
tracks?
asked. I think he was
Yeah.
asked to be there.
Or-
Or Von Braun called him there.
Or did he know? Like, I feel like
No.
this was almost a whole setup.
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like it was a setup to, like, maybe give give Hynek just enough to, like, feel like he accomplished something, but at the same time...
Well, it was a setup. Von Braun set that up because he asked Harding to keep Quinn on Blue Book, and it would just stir up too much if he was let go at that point.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then also he was just like, with people like Hynek, you give them a small victory, and then they just like kind of think
They know more than
they are
we want them to.
they're
you know?
being like thrown in a different direction essentially.
No, I mean, I think obviously by how much we're going off with this episode, there was a lot going on, and I think it was probably my favorite one to date so far.
So far, yeah.
Good one, yeah.
So I would definitely probably give this one a 9 out of 10.
Well, I'm
It's-
gonna go usually 10 out of 10 because
Cause aliens.
aliens.
I mean, I just go 9 out of 10. Like I said, the cinematography in this one was great. I think the pacing was really well done. I mean, even the balancing between Mimi and Hynek, kind of like the parallel storytelling of
Yeah.
they're both. It's building up on both sides, and it never felt like one was dropping off.
True.
And there's a lot of reveals. I just think it was almost a near perfect episode.
Oh, bringing up that though about Mimi and Hynek towards the end when they get kind of caught for breaking into the base. Von Braun was actually there to tell Hynek about his wife, which was probably the kind of point where he kind of switched it to think about something else opposed from the actual what was he saw and what was happening.
Yeah, and at that point, Hynek's really going off on him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, well, you really don't know me. So maybe he's not as bad as Hynek has projected.
Or how Quinn has tried to convince him into
Convince.
because of the war and
Yeah.
everything that he's been through.
And he's like, I'm just here to tell you about your wife, really. I don't even
Yeah.
care that you snuck on and saw stuff.
Yeah, he was said that like I'd hoped since our last conversation that like if you had any questions you would come to me.
Yeah.
Instead of trying
Just-
to sneak in.
Yeah, so it felt more like he wasn't really upset they snuck in. He was just kind of there to tell him about his wife. Because I think at the end of the day, Von Braun wants Hynek on the program.
Oh, he
And-
definitely does.
Yeah, so this is definitely a way to be like, oh, look what we got. Let's intrigue your mind a little bit and we'll get you on
Yeah.
board on our program. And at the end of the day, maybe that was Harding's goal all along.
Possibly,
Yeah.
because Hynek did. They haven't explained it yet, but he did have like an invention that
They
Braun like did research.
They kind of
into.
talked about it in episode 1.
They kind of did, but like not in depthfully.
And obviously, because we've read the books and stuff, we've gone more in depth on Hynek and his escapades and what he was doing before and after Blue Book. And
So
yeah. So I think it's great. Andrew, what about you? What do you feel of this episode?
I thought it was pretty good, actually.
microphone.
What'd you rate it?
No, I'd give it a, I don't know, 9 out of 10 as well.
All right, look at this one.
Yeah, there was a lot of sleight of hand going on. Made me think quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, this one, I thought it was really good. What about you, Matt?
So, yeah, I'm gonna 9.5.
Oh, look at that.
9.5.
We're almost to that 10. One of these days, you will have that perfect episode where it's just like, there you go. All right, before we end off, though, I guess since we didn't really talk to you two, what did you guys get from the episode, Andrew?
Well, there was a lot packed into it. Actually seeing, spaceship that we supposedly built. That was pretty neat to look at. I don't know, the alien. Finally got to see an alien. That was pretty cool. Yeah, there was a lot packed into the episode, and I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Matt?
Well, that sounded too much like copy of what you guys were saying, just following along with what you said. I mean, I think we're finally getting to the point where we're going to really
Start seeing some action.
start seeing some action and find out who the real men in black are, and it's coming,
Man.
The whole alien universe.
I know right now this is only 2 seasons, but they've written the 3rd season, so somebody pick it up. We need to keep this going. It's great.
Not yeah.
Hashtag-
It'd be very helpful.
Yeah.
Save Project Blue Book.
Save Project Blue Book.
Yeah,
Save
hashtag
Project Blue
come
Book.
on, networks. Dig deep in your pocket.
Discovery Plus. I mean, you guys need some streaming stuff. HBO Max, I think is what. Put this on. I will subscribe today.
Yeah.
You want some more subscribers? You could get 4 right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Well, if you guys want to see more of these Culz reviews, including more Project Blue Book, click the link that's right over Matt's face about now. If you want to see more of our stuff here at Culz Paranormal, click the link between Andrew and Sam. And don't forget to hit that like and give us a
Subscribe. And switch that notification bell from personalized to all if you want to get notified on all of our videos. Have a wonderful night.